Hey everyone, it's Joe, the 50-something Dasher, and the subject of today's video is it worth pursuing a delivery driving job through one of these gig app like DoorDash or any of the other gig apps in 2024? And kind of what I wanted to do here is just kind of give you some overall kind of things to think about before signing up for one of these gig apps, because there's a lot of people out there, I'm sure, that kind of think to themselves, oh yeah, I can go to some restaurant down the street and pick up orders and deliver them and to a house and do that all day long and get paid for it. Yeah, that's something I can do. And they don't realize that there's a whole lot more that kind of goes into this than what you think. And what happens is you get a lot of people that sign up, they try it out for a little bit, realize that it's more than what they bargained for, it's not really for them, and they give up on it. So I wanted to kind of provide some information here, some tools to help you kind of make a better informed decision about it before you jump into it. So one of the very first things at the very top of the list is, as far as like physical limitations go, if you're somebody that's not able to walk up and down stairs, I would just flat out tell you not to sign up at all for any of these, because I go up and down stairs on a daily basis. And could you still do delivery driving and for each of those situations contact the customer and have them come down to get their order? Yeah, technically you could do that, but I would not recommend that. All these customers are expecting you to deliver at their door. Maybe, some of them would be cool about it, but I can tell you right now that others would not be okay with it. They would probably like complain to the whatever gig app that you're driving on, or you probably get like bad reviews, bad ratings, that type of thing. I just would not chance that. And you're going to be doing a lot of like getting in and out of your car, a lot of walking, more than you probably realize. You can't, for the most part, most of these restaurants, at least as far as my DoorDash experience, you can't go through the drive-throughs. They want you to come into the lobby. I only have one pickup that you have to go through the drive-through. So if you have those kind of limitations, I wouldn't sign up. Next thing I want to talk about is traffic. We all know that it gets worse and worse every year as far as the homicidal maniac drivers out there. Average speed of 85 miles an hour on the roads anywhere you go, and it's an insane scene out there. And the reason I bring this up is, before I got into DoorDash driving, yeah, I would see like the after effects of, different, like I'd pass by like an accident that happened, or pass by different things and everything, just going back and forth to my W-2, or for any of my like personal driving that I would do, or longer distance trips, things like that. But I can tell you that after I got into delivery driving, you're out there in the madness a lot more than normally you would be, and you see more things, and it can get scary. So I've seen in the last year and a half that I've been doing this, I've seen like 3 accidents happen right in front of me, and all 3 of those was while I was delivery driving. I haven't, just going back and forth to my W-2 and any other driving, I haven't seen any accidents happen like right in front of me as I'm driving by. And then I was also hit. It was a hit and run. Somebody sideswiped this car and ran. and that was while I was delivery driving. So that's just something to think about, is that you're out in the chaos and the madness. You're exposed to it a lot more, when you're doing this kind of work. It's, like I said, something to keep in mind. Another thing is signal issues with your phone. The smartphone is obviously an absolute necessity for doing gig work. You have to have one. And depending on your location and your carrier, there may be different parts of town or that you get into where you have signal issues. And I'm sure that's pretty much with everybody. No matter what carrier you have, there's going to be certain areas where you struggle to get a signal. And you can still do like delivery driving, but it gets a little bit tricky. There's different things that you have to do. If you don't have very much patience with that type of thing, it can get very aggravating very quickly. So that's just kind of something to keep in mind. I have three pickup areas in my zone, and one in particular, and it's not the whole pickup area, it's just half of it, where I have signal issues. So that's almost kind of like a daily battle, but I've kind of learned how to do things in a certain way in the different troubleshooting things that I do, and I've kind of gotten used to it more or less, and kind of like know what to do. But there's a lot of growing pains I had to go through first to get to that point. So that's another thing to kind of be aware of. Especially in the very beginning with any of these gig apps, you're probably going to have to be like really flexible in terms of maybe like the days of the week that you're going to work and the different times. So one of the problems right now that I'm seeing in 2024 is that more and more people are wanting to do this type of work. And so what happens is that you got a lot of markets that are oversaturated with drivers, and so you can't just jump onto some app and start working for them the same day and be able to work whenever you want to. Most of these apps already have established drivers in place, and they already have their schedules or whatever. Like with DoorDash, you have in all the markets, dashers that have the ability to dash anytime, and they've worked their way up to that level. Well, then when you're getting on, starting out fresh right off the bat, you may have all kinds of drivers in your market that can dash anytime, and then here's not having built up those qualifications or credentials yet. So you may have to work at some odd different times to kind of build up your statistics, build up your credentials or whatever, to get to a point where those other drivers are. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Like if for instance, somebody, I live in my market, I live in central Ohio, southwest side. So in my market, if somebody was to get on brand new here, they probably starting out, they probably wouldn't be able to dash very much in my zone right off the bat. They're gonna have to go to do some, maybe like downtown Columbus, some of these other areas in central Ohio that don't have the same type. Like my market is probably good as far as like driver count and everything, and then some of these other areas I've noticed kind of struggle, and where they get busier and have promotions and peak pays to attract more drivers because they're kind of short. So somebody starting out may have to dash in those other zones first, build up their credentials before they can, be able to dash anytime and that type of thing. So that's something to keep in mind. Next thing I want to talk about, you have to be somebody that's good with numbers and calculations and things like that, and being able to do a little bit of analyzing, especially like when these different offers come in, because a lot of times you have a limited amount of time to make a decision. So like an offer will come across your screen and you'll have to kind of analyze the offer. Like it'll show the pay and the mileage, and then you have to analyze like where it's going, where is the pickup, where is the drop off, how much is it paying, how many miles. Then if you're doing like for instance, a shopping order, how many items is the shopping order, how long do I think that's going to take me to shop. You have to, and that's kind of like a skill that takes a little bit of time to develop and kind of improve upon that skill set. And so if you're really bad with calculations, numbers and things, you may kind of struggle at this job, because you have to have the ability to take a look at something. Okay, it's this and this and that, and then okay, yeah, I think I can do this order. So keep in mind there's that aspect. You have to, even though there's GPS, and GPS is for the most part works, really well. They've made a lot of improvements and everything, but even with that, you still, in my opinion, you still have to have a good sense of direction. If you're somebody that relies completely, totally, 100% on GPS, and without it, you'd be like totally lost and have to call for help. Be honest, I would not sign up for any of this gig work, because I can tell you that now it doesn't. I'd say for me personally, in my market, probably at least 95% of the time, I don't have any problems with GPS. I tell you what, that other 4 or 5% can really get you in trouble. You have to watch it, because I have a couple different delivery points where the GPS is like totally out of whack, and some like repeat customers where I like, as soon as I see it, I'm okay, that's that customer, and I see the map and where GPS is trying to route me, and I know not to follow that. One customer in particular, GPS wants to take me on, it's like a 3 or 4 mile huge circle around like 3 or 4 routes that I don't have to go on. And if I was strictly to follow the GPS, I'm going to drive like 4 miles longer than I have to. And like I said, I run into that. And sometimes, another thing, the pin locations are not where they're supposed to be. I'll deliver to a house, for instance, pin location is on my GPS is shown left-hand side of the street. The customer's actually on the right-hand side of the street. I run into that. So just keep in mind, it's my advice. You should have a pretty good sense of direction. You cannot rely on GPS 100% of the time. So it's going to be wrong. Patience. And if I'm not going to do this, but I could like throw up the word in this video to cover the screen in big, huge, bold letters and underline and highlighted and, stars around it. And that is like the number one thing with delivery driving and gig work is patience. You don't absolutely have to have it, but I strongly recommend having patience here, because you're going to have at the restaurants, you go into the restaurants, pick up orders. They're not going to be ready all of the time, right? When you walk in there, you're going to have to wait. There's going to be wait times. You have to decide to, depending on the order, how long do I want to wait for this order? How long do I want to wait for that order? You have to strategically be careful with, with the amount of time that because it's not just a flat set time. If I'm on a catering order, for instance, that I know is going to pay me like, I don't know, $30 to $50 somewhere in that, I'll wait. I've waited as long as a half hour, 45 minutes in a store for an order before, because it was a catering order. Other orders, if I'm in a restaurant to pick up a $3 or $4 order, 10 minutes is all I can wait. So you have to kind of balance that. There's also, you go into restaurants, there's unavailable items, things that are out of stock, especially on shopping orders as well. You have items that are out of stock, and you have to try to substitute items, and this, all of those things can get aggravating really quick, and you have to have patience. Big time. Customers changing instructions on you, that's another thing. It doesn't happen too often, but I've had customers, I'm en route to them, oh hey, I just noticed the wrong address was in there. Can you deliver to this other address as well? I've had that happen a couple times. You have to be prepared for the unexpected things like that to happen occasionally. Time management is another big thing. So that's kind of like another one of these skills that go along with this. If you have like really bad time management skills, you might not like succeed in this. You have to kind of know when the best times to go out there and work is in your market, and that this may take a little bit of time. First, you may have to get signed up, start driving, kind of get a feel for how things go. When are the busier times? When are the slow times in your market? It's going to be very market dependent. But once you get that knowledge, then that's where like the time management comes in, like when and where to start driving, when should like you take your breaks, things like that. And then as far as like individual orders, certain orders you may not want to take at certain times of the day, but if you get a kind of like an order that's not the best order in the world, but it's not horrible either, it's kind of like one of those in-between orders, well, if you're getting that at a time that is slow, and you can knock it out before like lunchtime hits or before dinner time starts, and you can knock that order out, then you can do that. And so there's a lot of like, time management type of analyzing that goes on like throughout your day. And as far as the another thing to keep in mind before and kind of like the last thing I'll talk about is the pay. I've noticed with me, my situation with DoorDash, the miles I'm driving, as far as the offers that I've been given, on average, the miles seem to be going up. I mean, I'm more and more, it's the offers that I get, they're expecting me to deliver to customers that are 6, 7, in some cases 13 to 15 miles away. So kind of like miles are going up on the offers, pay seems to be going down. when I first started with DoorDash in December of 22, there was a minimum base pay of $2 an order. A little bit later on, several months later, they changed that to where on stacked offers, where they two or more orders in one offer, then the minimum can be $2 per offer. So they offer you 2 deliveries for such and such pay. The minimum DoorDash base pay could be $2 on that. So just $1 per offer. For all of 2023, my numbers stayed pretty consistent at around $17 total dash time. That includes my downtime, and then active hours, the time that I was actually on a delivery, that was $25 an active hour is what I made. Now in 2024, the numbers have dropped, so I'm more around that $23 to $24 an hour active time, and my total dash rate is now down to around like $14 an hour. A lot of that is I live kind of like centralized in my zone. I live, like, if you look on a map of my 3 pickup areas, I live right in the center of all 3. So that's why I take a lot of orders from home, and I've been coming back home more often throughout my shifts to wait for orders. So I think maybe, you know, the downtime, part of that increase in downtime is from me coming home more often. I think another part of it is the increase of drivers. Honestly, I think this is a lot more saturated with drivers now than last year. But I'm the rates that I'm making, I'm still comfortable with for the work that I do, this delivery driving, even with dropping from 25 down to that 23, 24 an hour range active. I'm still okay with that for the work that I do. I work a W-2 job. My schedule there is just 3 days a week, and I dash the other 4 days. And like I said, I'm, you know, and I usually, what I do is I have a daily goal of $100, and I usually start around anywhere from 5:30 to 7 in the morning, and I can usually be done and hit that goal by, a lot of times, that on average at 12 to 1 p.m. range, and that works for me. And it's for me personally, it's been DoorDash driving has been a really great thing at a time where I got into it, at a time where hours at my W-2 tanked. And so I was able to get on to DoorDash and supplement income, and it's been a really good thing for me, and hopefully I can continue to do it for a long time to come. And meet some more of my financial goals. But anyway, that's all I have for this video. Again, I hope this information helped you to kind of, you know, with some things to keep in mind. Just make you aware that it's not just as simple as just picking up an order and dropping it off to some house. It's not that easy. A lot more to think about, a lot more that goes into it. And I wish everybody the best of luck with their gig work that they do if they get into it. And as always, be sure to drive safe out there. Safety is #1. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you again next time.